Hello, hello, George. We mainly meet at webinars and podcasts, but it's an absolute pleasure every time. I'm super excited to have you on our AI at Work series.
Of course, thank you very much. I'm excited too, and we have an interesting, presentation prepared for today. Many exciting things. So yeah, excited about this.
Amazing. So for anyone who doesn't know George, I'm a fanboy from maybe 5-6 years ago. George started this company called Minutia, and they were writing a lot of content on LinkedIn, and then you would go on their blog, and their blog was super beautiful, and it had all the best tips and tricks for SEO back then. And I was, just like taking it in, learning all the time. And years later, I didn't even, I wasn't sure, how to connect with you and reach out. But recently, you started a new company called Restart with a good friend of mine, John Oz. And this is kind of the time when we connected. And today, we're going to be talking about, I believe, what you're now focusing on. And this is, as per usual, the hottest things in marketing and how you grow in 2025.
Yeah, that's right. So we are going to discuss signal-led growth today. And by the way, I don't want this to sound like a buzzword, even though it sounds like a buzzword. But there is substance behind it, right? And this is what we are going to prove today, hopefully by the end of this webinar. So if we are ready, and I'm assuming we are, since people have started trickling in, I can just share my screen and get started.
I believe more people will be joining us, but there will be a recording afterwards. But whoever is here at the webinar can get to ask as many questions as you want to George. And I think this is the most invaluable thing you can do to get real exposure to the expert and ask him questions. Without further ado, George, let's go through the presentation.
Yeah, so I'm sharing my screen. Ilya, just let me know that you can see. I'm in full screen now. If you can see everything,
It's perfect.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's begin, folks. Stay until the end because we are marketers. At the end, we have a little something for you. So signal-led growth, the playbook of the now. This is what we are going to discuss today. This is a topic, and more specifically, we will start with the fundamentals, some definitions that you need to know, and we will also share an example to make it clear. We will explain why it is important to take signals into account in your strategy today. Our framework when it comes to signal-led growth. What are the different signal types? The problem with signals and this whole signal-led growth thing. One workflow that we have set up and run for one of our clients. A few things that I would like to leave you with, and at the end, of course, Q&A plus this little something I just promised. Okay, now. First of all, let me just say that this is part of this under the Restart brand that we have started together with my friend John. We started like 3-4 months ago, and we've worked with a bunch of SaaS companies. Our backgrounds, are in SaaS, and so what I'm about to share with you is not just something I read on LinkedIn. Is actually things that we've learned through working with all these SaaS companies, failing a lot, winning in certain cases, and keep experimenting to see what drives growth today, right? So let's get started with the fundamentals. I would like you to keep two definitions at this point. I would like to think of touch points. You can think of touch points as trails, right? Forget about the funnel and the life cycle stage and all that, the life cycle journey and whatnot. Think of marketing and what you do as a marketer as leaving trails in a road, okay? And what you want is people to find as many of these trails as possible, and hopefully, even though that's not guaranteed, to lead those people in like the end destination, which obviously is like to sign up for a free trial or book a demo and so on and so forth. So touch points are all these trails that you leave, okay, as a marketer. uh, on the other hand, signals are meaningful buyer activities, right? And these are based on these touch points that you have built, that you have constructed, right? Now, to make this a bit more like clear, if a LinkedIn post is the touch point, then a comment by someone who fits our ICP and like we could sell to is the signal. Okay, it's a signal that okay, this is something that we could use to potentially reach out to that person or to prepare a piece of content that's relevant to their unique situation and so on. Okay, so we have touch points and we have signals. Now the question is, okay, George, but like why is this conversation important right now? Well, it is important right now because the game has changed. As Ilya said, I kind of before that, of course, I worked for a while in a SaaS company, but I kind of started my journey with Minusia, which is a content marketing agency. I started in 2020, and like things were like entirely different back then, right? In many different on many different levels. But for the context of what we are discussing today, the past was characterized by abundance in terms of the traffic most SaaS companies receive. Today, that's not the case. Traffic is scarce, right? And attention is also scarce. And that, of course, create a dynamic where you have to get the most out of this traffic. Either you are left off or that you get. Certain channels used to deliver more. For example, Google search, SEO. Even though the SEO industry and marketers liked to kind of complain about everything that was wrong with Google search, it was one of the most beautiful channels you could ever have. And of course, nowadays you see the fatigue. Certain channels start getting tired, others start getting matured. There is volatility in many channels, and so things are getting more and more tough. We had a simpler buyer journey, while in this case, as I use the analogy of like leaving trails on a road, um, the customer journey, the buyer journey is way more sophisticated, non-linear, fractured, and nothing is guaranteed. Um, in many cases, we would
George,
aim. Please, yes.
yeah, I really want to ask you this. Sorry for interrupting, but you're talking about the channels maturing, and can you kind of give a couple of examples of channels that were good in 2020, currently maturing, or channels that are currently going strong? For instance, I don't know. Do you think that LinkedIn is already saturated? Do you think that TikTok is something somewhere that we should look at? What are the channels that you think are good?
Which channels I think are good. I mean, that's obviously it depends on like a lot on the growth motion, like product led, sales led, product led sales and whatnot. It depends on like whether or not you have a moat around this channel, right? For example, if you are Canva, then obviously organic search and AI search are important channels for you. But yeah, you mentioned LinkedIn. I think that LinkedIn hasn't reached its peak in terms of the number of users and whatnot, but it has reached its peak in terms of like impressions and free attention, right?
Mm.
Another channel that used to be like one of the, and I think now marketers wake up to this realization that how good Google search was, right? Now that you see that, okay, now this channel is not as good as it used to be because of volatility and all these other things, right? So I mean, we are in a very unique situation. This like situation we are in, this environment we have to operate in is super complicated and unique, and this presents a challenge, but at the same time I think that marketers who will survive this like change will come out stronger on the other end, and as an extension, companies that will survive, right? And if that's okay, like I can continue. Otherwise, like we
Yeah,
can
yeah,
spend like
absolutely, absolutely. Like everything is uber saturated. I absolutely agree with you that Google was so nice back in the day. Yeah, thanks for the perspective, and yeah, let's see how to navigate it.
yeah. So we used to focus a lot on volume over intent, whereas now you have to prioritize intent over volume, which is another reason why signals are important. And you know, I would suggest that even though there were many tools back, let's say in 2020, 2021, 2022, now the tech that exists out there enables us to, track these signals and act on them, right? So we are enabled by the tech today to do way more things than we were, say, 5 years ago, right? So our framework, which is kind of our recipe for success in this environment, is to, as I said, like you need to start with uh, these touch points, right? You need to create these meaningful interactions that have potential of sparking engagement. In other words, have potential of getting signals that you can then use. Um, and you have to think of every like single thing that you do as a touch point that may or may not lead to the end destination. And this is extremely important because we marketers, we used to think about like the buyer journey as a linear thing that's you know um, kind of, it starts from point A and ends to point B, whereas that's not the case anymore, right? So you start with the right touch points, and then you set up the right signals, right? Because let's say that a piece of content is a touch point, right? But what if that piece of content shows no intent whatsoever about, like a buyer who is investigating solutions in your category, right? Then obviously you should not use that touch point as kind of a touch point that sends a signal that you should take seriously, right? And last but not least, because many people think of this exercise as a set and forget exercise, I want you to know, especially if the systems you build include AI, which in many cases they will. These systems are super dynamic, and with AI that can go rogue at any time, you have to make sure that you have not only the right guardrails, but also you refine and you optimize things as you move along. Okay. Now there are four types, roughly speaking, four types of signals. We have website signals, for example, a qualified visit on your pricing page. We have external signals, for example, a champion from an inactive account, a company that used to be a customer got a new position, they moved to another company. We have internal signals, for example, a user from a paid account hit their monthly credit limit. And last but not least, we also have engagement signals, which is what I said earlier in the example for the with the LinkedIn post. Okay. Now, in terms of the website signals, you have to keep in mind that they are not equally weighted. A visit on your pricing page is not the same as a visit on your terms and conditions page. Even though you could argue that, yeah, but George, someone who is like checking our terms and conditions page, maybe they are from the legal department of like an enterprise, and that may be a signal. It could be. I'm just saying that you have to weight visits on these pages, on the pages on your website differently, right? Now, in terms of external signals, you have to keep in
George,
mind that, please,
sorry,
yes.
sorry to interrupt again. One of the strongest signals for me is when we have this, we have SOC 2 compliance, HIPAA compliance, all of these. And then we have gated this with the trust center so that whoever asks for access to actually read our compliance documents, this is an extremely strong signal. And we were thinking about, making this public, and we're like, no, no, no. Whoever wants this, they really want it. And now this is a very strong signal whenever they require access.
That's a
So
very good
I,
point. That's a very good point, actually. And I think in the example you mentioned, the fact that the resource is gated is what makes a difference. Do you agree? Because if it was public, then you would get random visits on that page. Like there would be noise. There would be some signal, but there would be mainly noise. I don't know if you agree, but
Yeah.
that's how I perceive it. Even though I haven't seen this resource, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically a page which Vanta provides these, by the way, and you can choose the level of permissions, and it could be fully accessible, or it could be kind of a trailer, and you see kind of a couple of compliance policies, and then for the rest you need to require access. And this is exactly. We decided to gate this content because the only way to make cut through the noise and find the real signals.
That's a very good point and a very good tip, actually. That's a good one. So we can continue, right?
Yeah, go ahead. It's very interesting, by the way. I'm literally writing in our Slack, and I'm saying we should do this, we should do that. It's very good. Thank you.
So then we have external signals, and you need to keep in mind that not all of them work well. We will see an example later, but an external signal is, a person gets a position, a new role for a position that's kind of matches our ICP criteria. And guess what happens when something like this happens? So many people are going to reach out to that person. Congrats on getting this position, and I just wanted to let you know that we also happen to help people like you in new roles and things like that, right? So you have to keep in mind that external signals, many of them are super saturated, and they may not work as well, right? Internal signals, most of the companies we know and work with, they don't use them, and this could be things like the one I mentioned earlier, all the way to, let's say, you have a product with a steep learning curve, right? And you have a learning center, and so maybe you want to track whether a new account has kind of watched any of the courses or videos you provide in your learning center, because that may be a signal that they are engaged, they are looking to learn about the product, and that may indicate that, we may, one of our success managers or whatnot, whatever you call them, can reach out to them and offer support, and so on and so forth. And last but not least, we have engagement signals. We've blurred this because obviously it contains client data, but this is part of what we do for our clients. At the end of every month, we extract all the engagements we got on LinkedIn posts, and we will exclude, of course, the noise, which is not the noise, but we will exclude the internal engagements from the company or from our company, and so on. And we will keep only the ones that are external, right? And we will share it with them. And what revenue teams usually do, sales teams usually do, is that they will take this and they will match it against their CRM data and whatnot, and see if there are any opportunities there for them. Okay.
How do
Now,
you attack these? People engage with my posts, and I don't know what to write. What would you recommend as kind of a strategy after somebody has engaged with my post? I have the signal. I know they're interested. What do I do? I don't want to write to them, oh, I see you have liked my post. What is a proper way to engage?
you know what? That whenever we have this discussion internally, it always goes back to the offer, right? And so I think that we can set up systems, we can scale them, we can do whatever we want. Like the technology enables us to do all these things. It's the offer that makes the difference, because think of the messages you receive, right? Either on LinkedIn, excuse me, or email and whatnot. How often it is that you will feel so compelled by what the other person just sent you, that you're like, yeah, I mean, I'm stupid if I don't get back to that person, right? It's super rare that this happens. At least it doesn't happen to me. I don't know about you. So I would say regardless of what you say and how you start the message, like I saw you reach, you like engage with one of my posts and whatnot. If that's a person, and like if that's a contact, to use like the right terminology, and like an account behind that contact that you can sell to, it's all about the offer. Like it has to be so compelling that like this person will, yeah, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, I want to be part of this, right? And like consistently, I see that signal-based outbound, which is part of like what we will cover today, uh, goes back to that, like the offer, right? If you know that the offer is
Yeah.
strong, the copy is just, you know, the packaging, right? And you will get into the inbox, or if it's not the inbox, you will get into that like person's like LinkedIn inbox. It's the offer that makes the difference.
Yeah, I very much resonate with this because you know, the thing I hate is when someone writes to me, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, What's your offer?" Right? And the other thing I hate a lot is, uh, "Do you wanna let? I think we can be mutually beneficial. Let's schedule some time." And I don't have time for this. I don't have attention to give to a person who doesn't give me the offer straight up. And if the offer is really compelling, as you say, I'm the one chasing, and I'm the one, you know, let's get on a call, let's talk about it further. Sounds amazing, and so on. So,
Imagine
yeah,
though, sorry, but imagine though if someone reached out to you and they were like, they knew, for example, that you're trying to expand on a certain category, like agencies. Let's say you target agencies, and they reach out to you and they are like,
we do.
yes. And let's say that they reach out to you and they're like, Ilya, I have 500 agencies from, you know, like North America or whatnot, that qualify to buy from you, and I will offer this list for free. If that's interesting, just, you know, just reply with yes. I mean, what would you have to lose? Like, you know, it's not a demo. It's not a, just I will share the list with you. So it's the offer. It's the offer
Mm.
that makes all the difference. That's what I see.
Uh,
Uh, yeah. So
you're
shall we
good.
continue?
You're good at this.
Yeah.
Many years of experience. Yeah.
So um, so okay, we saw our framework. Now, what's the problem? The problem is basically we will break it down into three parts. Um, Traffic and attention. You need traffic and attention for like most of these signals to work and, like, you know, be materialized. You need to keep in mind, as we discussed just now, that like many signals are saturated, and of course, as we were just discussing with Ilya's point on, like, you know, how you do it. Again, it's not like what you do. Many people like do the same thing, like use the same channel and whatnot. It's how you do it and how you approach that tactic, that channel, and so on. Okay. Now, the problem is that, you know, let's start with traffic and attention. Traffic got a bad reputation in the last, you know, 2 years. That started when chat-gpt launched, really. And at the same time, getting attention is not easy. In fact, it gets more and more difficult. And I don't want this to be disheartening or anything. um, you can still find a way to kind of, you know, raise your voice so that like it becomes a signal in all that noise. But the truth of the matter is that like both traffic and attention are getting more difficult. But despite of what, you know, like LinkedIn gurus scream in many cases, you have to keep in mind that these are prerequisites. You need them to be able to run such a system. Okay. Now, at the same time, we discussed that many signals are saturated. And as you can see here in this screenshot, like someone posted a job and they got all these connection requests and all these messages and whatnot. Certain signals have reduced signal quality. Um, you have to keep in mind that you can't just use, you know, like one touch point and then that's it. Like I reach out to someone using one tactic and that's it. I scored. You have to combine touch points and leave as many trails, going back to the analogy at the beginning, as possible. Okay. And always keep in mind that not all signals are equal. An external signal is not the same as, a visit of over 2 minutes to your like pricing page, right? Now, we also discussed that we need to focus more on the how, not the what, right? On the screenshot, in the right of my screen, we have a message, an email I received actually, where they congratulate me on like launching a new company and whatnot. But guess what? Like that company is not Growthways. Growthways is my newsletter, right? And so that's like marked as spam and block right away. Whereas on the left, you can see a message we sent as part of like a signal-based outbound campaign for one of our clients. This is on LinkedIn, where it's not like super hardcore or anything like that, but it's relevant. The signal is strong. It's a visit on a high intent page for that lasted over 1 minute, and so yeah, that person would like to get the sign up link so that they can try the tool. Okay, and of course, you have to keep in mind that you can make it easy for yourself by using tools that allow you to track some of these signals and have them all together in a repository or database of sorts. Okay. Now, our workflow consists of four steps. Workflow for this particular presentation, right? Because this is, as I will show you in a minute, this is just a part of like the systems we build. So the first step, visitor identification. We identify and track visitors on the website. You can use there are different solutions in the market. We use and suggest warmly. From there, we will take these visits and we will send them to a signal database like Clay. We will do the qualification, the enrichment, and the routing to the right salesperson. And from there, we will reach out to the contact or the contacts from the accounts we have identified. Okay, and as I said earlier, you need to make sure that you monitor results and constantly refine your copy. If you don't have an offer, it's better to not a super strong and compelling offer. It's better to never start like what I'm sharing with you, because you will not get any results. And keep refining and optimizing. Okay. Now, as I said, this is just a part of the systems we built, right? It's not like the whole picture. It's just a part, one of the workflows. It's not the whole picture. To get more specific, as we
George, when you say workflow, do you mean automated workflow? Is this fully automated, or
after
which?
Yes, after we do the initial setup, yeah. Now it's automated, yeah.
Okay, so what you do is you would come in, you would kind of learn about the different signals that a company receives, and then you would fully automate it and kind of leave it be.
Yeah, you will set up the system, this particular workflow, for example. You will set up this workflow, and then it runs. Well, of course, all the client needs to do then is to monitor the uni boxes. That's how they're called in many cases, for replies. But also, you have the first version, then you need to optimize and build on top of it, test different different copies based on a very strong offer, different approaches, and so on and so forth. But yeah, the whole point of this is you need something that scales and that runs on autopilot, right? And so in this, for this particular workflow, what we have is that we have a visit on a high intent page, like pricing page, alternatives listicles, comparison page, comparison guides, and so on and so forth. They stayed for over 1 minute. Then we send this account and contact to Clay for enrichment, qualification, and routing. We set up dedicated Slack channels for each sales rep, and we will send a notification to that sales rep based on their area of kind of ownership, and then we will reach out to the identified contacts using two different channels, LinkedIn and email. Okay. Now, here, as you know,
Sorry
yes.
to interrupt. This is very important for me. That's why I'm asking you questions all the time. So when a user stays on the website for more than 1 minute, how do you get their email?
So this is what
Like,
this is what we are going to cover now. But this is the 1 minute, by the way, kind of threshold is not set in stone, right? We just, for this particular one, we just happen to say, okay, it should be over 1 minute, right? And obviously, if you do that, you get less companies, right? You identify less accounts. And so the way now I'm going to describe how it works. I guess this will answer your question, but it starts with visitor identification, the anonymization tool, like Warmly. And so what we do is that we set up a workflow that they call it orchestration. This is their term for workflows that identifies companies that visited a specific website, which is the domain we are interested in. And at the same time, what we do is that we have a segment that basically filters for specific pages on that website and for visits that are over 1 minute. Okay. What we also want to do is, because we don't want to reach out to people who are customers, for example. Warmly has native integrations with HubSpot and Salesforce, and so if you are on HubSpot or Salesforce, then you can also exclude your customers, your existing customers, from this outreach. Which rest assured, they visit your website, since this is how they access, like the product, right? And we get this information and we send it via a webhook over to Clay. Okay. You need to keep in mind that you need separate orchestrations, one for accounts, one for contacts. I will explain what this is when I jump off the presentation. The trigger is, a company or account visited the website. We use filters, as I mentioned, and the qualified accounts and contacts are pushed via webhook into Clay. Then we have Clay. Okay. And so when we are in Clay, as I said, and now I will just quickly jump off, and I think we are good in terms of time. Yeah, because I don't have many slides left. But inside Clay now, we have two tabs. One of them is contacts, and the other is accounts. Don't ask why. This is because that's how Warmly identifies companies visiting your website. In certain cases, if the visitor is from the US, they will identify the exact contact, and we assume, or we hope, that this is the right contact. It has been like successfully identified, and so we send it to a tab. And so what we do here is that we color label the columns we have. With blue, we have anything that receives or sends information to this Clay workbook. With so that's blue. With green, we have information that's like we have it and we can use it. Then with yellow, we have all sorts of like normalizations, formulas, and like and so on, right? And also there's a lot of AI involved in this process, right? With purple, because remember what we discussed, like we take this information and then we qualify, we enrich, we route, and we also reach out to these people, right? And all this process happens in here, right? And so with purple, we have what we call variables for the outreach we do for these identified contacts and accounts. And this piece of information we send out to our outreach tools, namely LinkedIn, for LinkedIn HeyReach, and for email instantly. Okay. And so after we do all these things, and as I said, like qualifications, enrichments, and whatnot, then we come up with these variables, and we pass this information over to instantly and to HeyReach separately for doing outreach to these identified accounts. Now, identified accounts, contacts, sorry, means that we have identified the person. Identified accounts means that we have identified the company, and this is a bit more complicated because here we want to identify the right person to reach out to. Also, as an extra step to protect our clients, what we do is that if that person or if that company is from Europe, we will not reach out to them. We have a filter for that. And so we will find the right contact to reach out to. Obviously, you can find multiple contacts. In fact, maybe you should do that. And we will reach out to them. Okay. So that's that. Going back to the presentation, I don't know if there are any questions here.
Yeah, so there is one question that is from a bit earlier, but I think it's very important, is how do you collect the signals? Do you use pixels? This is the question from Christian.
As I explained earlier, like different signals, like in this case, website signals, you can use a tool like Warmly, right? But if you want other signals, I think it was, let's see. Yeah, I think it was this one. You can get information from like social like mentions and whatnot, all the way to, if you're a technical SaaS and you have a GitHub repo, then like monitoring that and activities there and whatnot. So
Are
you
there
can use,
what are the tools? Because you say you're collecting it. We are using Ample Market, so for us, this is the tool that we use to collect the signals. What are
yeah,
you
of course.
using?
You can use something like Clay, especially if you want to make your life difficult. You can use something like Common Room if you want to make it a bit easier. So I guess it really depends on like what you want to build and so on. In most cases, we use Clay, right? But we see that many companies increasingly lately they've been using Common Room and so on. Okay, so it really depends. Up to you. There are so many good solutions out there. We just mentioned some: Clay, Ample Market, Common Room, and so on, right? But there are tools to help you collect these signals and track these signals.
Okay, you track the signals, you collect them. Most of the time, you process the signals in Clay, and this is
Yes.
the place where you create the variables, and now you're ready to roll with the next one.
Yeah,
What do you
that's
do
right.
then?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that Clay is a great tool to help you run these systems, but you have to keep in mind that it's not easy. Like it has a learning curve, and not only that, but because there is a lot of AI involved in certain parts of the process, AI can go rogue, and you have to make sure that like someone maintains these workbooks once you set them up. Okay, so just to sum up here, we have separate tabs, one for accounts, one for contacts. We exclude contacts from account outreach because we already, reached out to them via the contacts tab. We do different enrichments and qualifications, per client, and it's also recommended, especially in Clay, which has, this sheets kind of a logic, to color code columns to make sure that like it will be super easy for anyone who visits that workbook to understand what each column represents. Then we split it into two parts. We have email outreach and we have LinkedIn outreach. Okay, as I said earlier, for email you can use a tool like Instantly, Smartlead, and so on. What we do is that in this particular workflow is that we have one email that's being sent out after we identify that account or contact, and then we have one more email after 30 days. Okay, I guess lately the conversation is that you should not, this like 6-7 follow up kind of sequences, I believe, are a thing of the past. It's okay to follow up and send a new email in a new thread every 30 days or 60 days, but I would say that you have to respect people's inbox and make sure that you don't spam the heck out of people. Okay, now for email, keep in mind that the first email variables we take them from our Clay table. Our second email in this workflow is being sent out 30 days later. Um, we have one campaign per clay table. You should have up to 2 email accounts per domain. Why two? Because if a domain, and by the way, you never use your core domain, needless to say, right? If your core domain is, I don't know, restart.ai, you should never use restart.ai as your kind of the domain you use to do outreach, right? And you have 2 email accounts under each domain, because if the domain gets a bad reputation and is practically burned, you burn just 2 emails with it, not 15, right? And never use your core domain. And last but not least, you want warm email accounts. You want real senders. Forget about AI avatars and all that shit. And you want to make sure that someone is following up in the Unibox, monitoring the Unibox, and sending replies promptly. We have
I
email.
wanna
We also have LinkedIn. Yes.
I want to just add to this or to the previous slide. Can you go back to the slide about the emails? This is something that is very important. This is really good. And the thing with up to 2 emails, I don't know how many we're using, but we're using multiple domains and very few emails. But something that recently we occurred to us is that when we were doing these 7-10 email sequences, we couldn't send enough emails for all the signals that we were finding on the market. We have like 30 domains and probably 50, 60 inboxes from which we're sending. And when you get a lot of signals, it's much better to prioritize the important ones, especially if you have a smaller team. Maybe if you're Salesforce, you can, attack every signal ever. But for us, it was very important to kind of ration the number of emails we can send and basically reach more people, fewer emails, higher intent. And yeah.
I agree with you. Plus, and another thing I would add here is that, especially if you're using a tool like Clay that runs on credits, or that bills you based on credits, has a credit-based billing. It's not cheap, so you have to find ways to like preserve these credits. And as you said, like you need to be super targeted, especially if you can't afford to burn like thousands of credits every month, and have and spend thousands per month on domains and email accounts, and so on and so forth. So in general, I agree with you. That's a very good point. Yeah.
George, we have 15 more minutes. You have a
Yes.
couple more slides, and then maybe we can answer some questions.
Yes. We are close to finishing, and then we can go to the Q&A. So we have email, we have LinkedIn. Here, as you can see, real quick, we send a connection request. If after 5 days the connection request hasn't been accepted, we consider that workflow as closed. If it's accepted, we wait for 1 day, and then we send a message. Again, like you need to make sure that you use real people from the company to reach out to, right? On behalf of whom to reach out to your prospects. You need to make sure that you set strict limits on connection requests to avoid potential bans. Your connection notes should be value driven and never mention, by the way, for this particular workflow, you should not mention that I saw you were on our website and whatnot, right? You don't know how the other person will react to something like this. Never mention that. And you should respect people's inbox, as I said earlier. Avoid spammy, excessive follow-ups. Okay. Our tech stack for that, you will get access to this presentation, so you will be able to take a better look at this. And few things I'd like to leave you with. Signals, as we see it, are not optional. They are table stakes, so you should start using them. You need to establish, as we discussed earlier, everything starts from touch points. So you need to make sure that you have the right touch points in place. And at the same time, when you do outreach, as I explained, or when you approach following through on a signal, it shouldn't be just with one channel like email and whatnot. Ideally, you want to layer different channels on top of each other, like email, like LinkedIn, like LinkedIn retargeting ads and whatnot. Um, you don't need a massive system from day one. You can start small and scale things up. Um, Not all signals are equal, as we discussed, and at the same time, certain signals are very, very like time sensitive, meaning that whenever something happens, you should kind of approach it right away. And refinement never stops, right? Signal led growth, unfortunately, or fortunately for agencies and for people practicing it, is high maintenance, right? And that's pretty much it. Before we jump off, I would just like to share that we offer 2 slots for a 1-hour strategy call with me and John. You can scan this link. We can't offer more at this point because we are super busy, but you can scan this link, book a call, or request a call. We will answer all your questions. You will get the recording of our call. And as we always do with events, it's first come, first serve. Okay. And that should be it. Let me stop sharing my
Wow,
screen.
so much value. Thank you so much. I've been literally taking so many notes here, and really cool. George, thank you. I will now put on the stage this question. It's a very long question. Let's see. Okay, so I'll go and read it. Maybe you can't see the whole thing, but in the past, people would discover your product while researching issues pertinent to them. You would ask a question, Google would send them to your website. Being a thought leader increased impressions. Now, users get AI responses to questions instead of being directed to websites. Is being a thought leader a waste of time now? Should I focus on attracting AI instead of attracting humans, hoping the AI will drive human traffic to my product? If so, how do I do that? So, kind of to sum up the question, very long, very thorough, very thoughtful question, by the way. Thank you, Josh, for asking it. So, here we're getting into, with it used to be Google search, and now we have AI search. People are searching for stuff on chat-gpt, team-gpt as well. And how do we navigate this as marketers?
First of all, thank you for the question, Josh. I think that may be the longest question I've ever received on a live event. Thank you for that. First of all, let me just say that I don't think, and that's just my personal opinion, I don't think that AI search is replacing Google. Think of it as an additional channel. It's not replacing it, right? And it's not just me saying it. Like, data also prove that people still using Google search. They are using AI search, not across the board though, right? Like, if you have like engineers, for example, yeah, they are more inclined towards to use a tool like ChatGPT for finding tools and whatnot. But if you have, I don't know, 60-year-olds looking for retirement solutions and whatnot, yeah, these people are still using Google search, rest assured. Okay, so that's very important for the framing of the question. Okay, in that context, I would say that Google search, and based on what we discussed today, Google search and AI search are 2 different touch points. If your audience is there, you have to be there too. You have to be present. They are touch points. They're nothing more, right? If you think that my kind of audience lives more on Google search or AI search and whatnot, then you need to invest further in this channel. But that doesn't mean that they are not mutually exclusive. Meaning that in order for Google search to exist, AI search needs to kind of stop existing and whatnot, right? I would say that both of them are important, and to add the thought leadership thing into the equation, that's yet another touch point, right? If you think that, yeah, but my audience is also on LinkedIn, then you have to be there too, right? Which means that you need to cultivate this presence on LinkedIn. And by the way, LinkedIn, many people think that LinkedIn is just about thought leadership. It's not. In fact, thought leadership is just one of the objectives. The other two is, our attention and generating revenue. And so I would say that you should just, like, to simplify this, you should just think of these things as merely touch points, nothing more. Is my audience there? Then I need to have presence there. But it's not guaranteed, by no means, that, as I said at the beginning, it's not like, it's not like point A, point B. You leave as many trails as possible, and you just try to make people's journey as like easy as possible, right? But there's no guarantee that people, seeing you on AI search or like LinkedIn, then they will take the next step, which is to sign up for your product and whatnot. And we could get into why, but like this would, like, we need one more hour to cover just that question.
Yeah, I wanted to add on this question. Actually, together with your co-founder John, we did this guide on how to do GEO, and maybe we're gonna drop it in the comments. Maybe we're gonna send it to people. But literally, most of the stuff I know about GEO, I know from John. So, guys, it's a very long topic. We can talk about it for hours, but we'll send you the stuff that George and John have prepared on the topic. There it is. Thank you. Yeah. So next question. We don't have much time, so I want to go to the next question. So this is a much shorter one. But when you see a company fail at automation despite having data and technology, what is the most common failure point in the process, the offer, or the timing?
Thank you for the question, Michelle. I don't know how a company can like really fail at building something like this. Let me be clear about it. You can build this, right? You don't have to be like technically savvy or whatnot. Like, you can build this. Tools like Clay enable you to build it, right? They are a bit complicated, yes. They have some learning curve, yes, but they are aware, which is why they add features to make it easier for you to build, stuff like this on their tools, right? Why you will fail and why most, like, of these systems fail is because SaaS companies don't get it. Like, it's the offer. The offer needs to be super compelling, right? It should be a no-brainer. And when you reach out to someone to tell them that, like, is it worth your time to get on a demo? Of course not. Like, who's going to answer yes on that, right? But if you like offer something that's so valuable and it for them, and like hopefully that's something like you can automate and whatnot, then there you have it. Like, your offer is there, and you can trust me. And I've seen this repeatedly, especially with like B2B SaaS companies, and especially in competitive categories, kind of mature categories, where the way we should price is kind of established and there's little to no innovation there. That's why you don't see strong offers there. Take the project management category as an example. You are not going to see a strong offer in project management, because what can you possibly offer? This is a super established category since Basecamp started building software, right? And so it's the offer. You can do all these other things. You can manage the automations. Don't worry about that. It's the offer that you need to nail. And unfortunately, if you work at a company, it's super difficult. As a marketer, I know it's super difficult to, if this is a pricing, what can you do? Like, you can't change the pricing of the company, right? So the single biggest, to answer your question, failure point is the offer.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with this, and this is why I asked you earlier, because our team is absolutely amazing at processes, data, automations. Like, we know every single thing about our users and our prospective users and everything. And still our systems fall flat. It is the offer. It's like, what do you write to them? How do you make them take the next step? And it's a lot of food for thought for me. And I would here use the time for this is for the audience, so it's not for you, George. But you know the most important stuff from your webinar. But if the audience has three things that they should remember from today, what would they be? Now, I'll say mine, but I would really encourage everybody to think about them, to think about theirs. So the first one is this thing with the offer. So what is the thing that we offer them that makes them take the next step? And this is an ongoing question which evolves all the time. Second thing that I have written down is super important is this thing with this what are the strongest signals, and I've given this kind of as a task on Slack. How do we identify the strongest signals? I know for my personal brand, viewers of my profile, this is a very strong signal. If somebody views my profile, I immediately connect with them, we interact and so on. So it's not a poll, it's not a like, it's not a comment, it's a profile views. For me, this is the strongest signal. Vanta Trust Center, this is the thing we discovered during the call as a strong signal. And then I would really encourage my team to think about what other signals are super strong and important for our business. And the third thing the third thing I have written is let's try the workflows that George has written, and we're basically going to try them on Monday probably, and see them in action.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't have anything to add here. And I think in terms of importance, yeah, I would focus on the offer, which again is super complicated. But just like for us, for example, we took for restart, right? Like we took the decision on to focus on LinkedIn growth in terms for the demand we have, like for the client results and whatnot. So we do that, and we are like, okay, but we need a very strong offer, right? And so our kind of the main thing that we sell is LinkedIn content for the founder's profile, the executive team, and so on and so forth. So what can we do that's super enticing for people to just don't think about it? Like, yes, I want to try it, right? And we are like, okay, we will have a 30-day thought leader sprint, right? Which is basically a free trial for 1 month of our smaller package of our service, right? And we started getting demand for that, getting on a wait list really, because we have to qualify them, but for that particular service, okay, because it's super, like, people don't have to think about it a lot, right? It's almost like a no-brainer, right? It should feel even
Yeah.
better than that. Like, it should be, because SaaS is super saturated once again, it should be so good that like people are like, yeah, I want this for me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is precisely what we were talking with Andre from our team, who's hitting our GTM today. We were talking, what is the no-brainer sentence we say to someone so they come and try our software? And we haven't nailed it, but it's a super complicated question. But exactly the words I used was, it has to be no-brainer for them to try it. George, we are at time, but the audience wants to see your QR code again. Can you pull it up? Because
Yes, of
yeah,
course.
it was only briefly on
Let me put it
screen
on.
shared.
And I want to see them. Who is going to write first? That I tried it, but it doesn't work. I hope no one. But
Which one? The QR code.
yeah. No, I'm just saying, because you
Yeah,
usually get this when you
I,
share QR codes.
I'm sending an app for building QR codes that I have built myself. It's free. It's free to use. Very beautiful QR codes. You can put your logo. but
Okay,
but
I will take a look at it.
but can you bring up your QR code, please? Can you screen share?
I thought I did. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
you
I thought
stopped.
I
You stopped at a certain point, but
let's see now.
yep, there you have it.
Okay. Let me know when
Well,
I should close it.
yeah, maybe we can leave it until the end. Michelle, this is for you. Please take note. But by the way, if you reach out to George, this is a very strong signal for him to reply. So I guess he would just tell him I was at the webinar. I'm very interested in what your offer. Your offer is a no-brainer for me, and maybe you get it. George, thank you so much for your time. It was
Thank you.
super interesting, super important. I feel like I got the 1 hour session with you, so that was very cool. We're gonna act on the stuff, and again, thank you so much for being here and for taking the time.
Thank you, Ilya, and the team at team-gpt for putting this together, and to everyone who joined us, and especially those who stayed with us until the end. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.